Okay, so hello and welcome back to another Unity Roguelike tutorial. Before I get into this video, I want to thank anyone who watched the charity livestream. It was pretty good fun. I'm slowly recovering from having no sleep. Obviously I had a bit of sleep last night, but I'm recovering. It was pretty fun. We made 80 quid for the charity, which obviously on a small scale livestream, that's pretty good. As I said, thanks to anyone watching, thanks to anyone who donated and part of the chat. It's a pretty good time. But yeah, in this video we're going to be making the enemies, we're going to make them be able to be spawned. In the actual game, how it works is you walk around the map, you go into a particular room and then it closes you in and the enemies start spawning, and then when you've killed them all you leave. So we'll sort that all out in a different video, in an upcoming one, but for now we're going to just make the enemies be able to be spawned so that we can have them procedurally, over time. What we'll do is we'll make it so that in this area they spawn one, wait a few seconds, another spawns, wait a few seconds, whatever. But we'll sort out a proper spawning system in one of the upcoming videos. So yeah, we'll get into that, and then yeah, there's not much more I'll say. Let's get into it. So the moment we've got enemy prefabs. If you go into prefabs, we've got these test enemies. We can drag them in and put them anywhere. There's another enemy. Obviously they all face that way, so they don't turn or anything. We're going to make the enemies actually interactive at some point, but not now. So what we're going to do is we're going to need some code, obviously, as you might expect. So script. Let's make a spawner. So C# script enemy spawner. And as well as an enemy spawner, while it's loading up, we're also going to want we're going to need to pass it some details what to spawn. So what we can do is we can actually, I'll show you in upcoming videos, we'll make scriptable objects of each room. So whoops, I'm on my channel. So that we can say, all right, this room's going to have this many enemies and how much delay between each, and we'll make it as customizable as we need to. We only have one kind of enemy at the moment. In the next video, I'm going to make the melee enemy, so they'll spawn and they'll run towards the player, and then they'll start hitting them at melee range, and so on. And we'll have these guys sit back, and then we can also have the archers that move and then fire a red. They have a red beam showing where the arrow is going to go when it's fired, and then it'll fire, and so on. I'll bring up the game next episode, and we'll pick some enemies to make, and we'll work on that to make the game more interesting. But for now, we're going to just make it so enemies can be spawned during the game. So what we can do is, in this code, we're going to need, now as you know, so where are the enemies? We've got test enemy. Now in reality, no, that's test enemy shooting. Let me just close all these things other than the one we're working on now. Okay, so one good thing to have in object-oriented programming, which is to do with classes, is to have a base class and then, things inside that class. So first of all, we've got test enemy here. No, I keep clicking on the wrong thing, that's the projectile. Test enemy. Wait, what code does the enemy actually have on it? Okay, so yeah, the enemy only has a receive and shoot because, well, that's all it does. So obviously this is the health script, and this is the attacking one. We could just have a main script for all types of enemy, and then that can control the logic on the enemy. Because as we said, so this test enemy shooting, it's only gonna be on ones that work like this. It's gonna only be on enemies that shoot off these balls. That's how it works. Different enemies melee ones won't have this on. So we want to derive, instead of from mono behavior, we're going to derive from a base class for enemies. So, or enemy attacking, I guess. We'll have the base enemy attack script, which will have just certain logic that every enemy that will attack will have, and then we'll have different versions of it. So what we can do is we could make that now. So create C# script enemy attack. So this can just be the base script. So here it is. And then what we can do is we can go to enemy attack, and we can basically just, instead of mono behavior, we can write enemy attack. Everything will still work fine, and then basically anything in here will get over. It's basically over this. So every enemy needs private object player, because every enemy is going to need to know where the player is and have reference to it. So what we can actually do is in here we can say void start. Whoops. Void start. And then we can say, we also want to say, well, every enemy is going to have a reference to the player. Not every enemy is going to have a projectile. A min and a max damage, that's technically dependent on how they work. You know, to be honest, all of this is all of this is still dependent on the enemy that we're on about, so we can leave all that. We'll just have the player bot, and then on here, void start, you know, player equals that. So that's what everything does. Now, there's no point in having it in both. So, you know, we can take out this player reference because it's in the base class. It's going to have it anyway. Obviously here it's saying, oh, we don't know what player is. That's because I think if you want it to be in the other one, you actually have to public. Yeah, you do. Okay. But anyway, or is it protected? Does that work? There we go. Okay, so now that we've got this, the problem is this start will get ran, but this one won't, because you can't have two starts. It'll do. I think it does this one. We want to basically override it. We want to say like we'll do virtual void start. Go. Can you not have the start be virtual? Okay, public virtual void start. Basically, what that public means, you know, the other thing can use it. Virtual means that it can be overridden. Overwritten? Well, it can be overridden. By overwriting it, it's kind of confusing to say. Void, obviously, it's still void start. What that means is it's going to do this. Every enemy is going to, you know, get reference to that. But let's say your particular enemy does have other stuff. So in the start of this one, it's going to. So if I say, if I can spell override, and then obviously it says can't do it. This is going to override the other one, but we don't need to write this. This is done with. Still works. We can do. Is it base start? How do we do this for the? Let's say I write public override void start. See here it says base.start. That means it's going to run all the code in this one first, and it's going to do anything specific afterwards. And the specific thing is start coroutine, and then the coroutine is shoot player, like so. Now, after all this changing, the game should work fine. If there's any problems, then I'll fix it, but there shouldn't be. Yep, it still works fine, good. I was panicking there that it wasn't shooting, but cool down. Okay, so that still works. So now what we can do is we can have like a base enemy, and then we can add more stuff to this that every enemy attack strip is going to have. Obviously this is a simple one that is quite specific to this shooting enemy. So that's fine, we've sorted that out. We also want like a base class. We want every enemy to have like just an enemy class. Now this is going to, so we have the enemy receive damage, which is basically the health script. I just called it receive damage because I don't know, I'm weird. This should actually come from a base class because every enemy is going to have a health, a max health, a slide, a loot drop. Basically, this is completely. We could just turn this into the base class, to be honest, because this is the base class. To be honest, every single enemy is going to have this on them. So instead of enemy receive damage, well, you know what? Actually, that could just that could be the enemy script. Because that's, we don't have an enemy script already. Fine, we'll call that enemy. We do have to change the name out here though, so it's going to give us problems if we don't call this enemy. So what we can do is every enemy that works differently with its health, or like all the different kinds of enemies can have either the enemy script or preferably like versions of it. Let me just fix that. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll say enemy. Now currently these guys just have, I don't know if it actually has it on anymore. Yeah, they just have like an enemy script on them. We want a list of game objects that have the enemy script on, basically, and we want to spawn them. Now in reality you just want to have a list of game objects to spawn because they're going to be prefabs. So if we go to the spawner, so the bit of the video I've done so far is just kind of neatening it up and preparing for like future episodes. It's not necessary for this one, sorry, but you know, you should do it, it's better. We're going to have a public list of type game object, and we're going to call it more like enemies equals new list of type game object, like so. So like now we're gonna have a spawner object in the screen, so we'll just call it, like for this video we're gonna do the spawning system just here rather than in the different rooms. So we can have an empty game object called, like, you know, enemy spawner. I could just, I've done no gaps in the rest, and this spawner is going to be wherever, just at the middle. And we're going to add a script to it, you know, spawner script. And as you see, we've got a list. At the moment we've only got one type of enemy, so we're just going to put in that guy. It's a lot easier to drag it in from the prefabs. Test enemy. Okay, so now we've got reference to that enemy. We can basically instantiate it wherever we want. Now, let's get rid of all these guys. Okay, so now there is nothing in the scene, nothing to do. We want these enemies to basically appear. We'll add spawning animations in an upcoming video. So what we can do is we can say like void start coroutine spawn. Whoops. I need to actually make the coroutine probably. Well, I don't need to yet, but I'm going to do it. So IEnumerator, nope. IEnumerator spawn simple, or spawn test enemy, like so. And then what we're going to do is, so spawn test enemy. We're going to spawn one of the enemies, wait a certain amount of time, and then spawn another one. So I can have a like public flow. Well, how often? So like I don't know even to call it. I'll just call it like delay. Let's go spawn rate. But then if you increase the spawn rate, well, I don't know. We'll just call it spawn rate. It really doesn't matter. I shouldn't sit here thinking about this too long. So spawn rate, and we'll say yield return new wait for seconds, and we want to wait for the spawn rate. So we're going to spawn an enemy, wait for that amount of time, then just do it again, basically. So at the end we can start coroutine spawn test enemy. So this is basically just going to keep looping forever. That's what we want. So we're going to say like instantiate. Now instantiate means make something in the scene. So we're going to make enemies 0, which is the first one in the list, and we've only got one in the list anyway. So we're going to instantiate enemy 0 at our transform dot position with our transform. No, oh, comma. Transform dot rotation. We could actually just do quaternion dot identity. Not going to go into that maths. Let's just try this. That should spawn it right in the middle of the map. Yep. Okay, problem. There's many enemies there because I didn't actually put in a delay on the spawner. So it's doing it every 0 seconds, which is a lot of enemies. So we'll give it a delay of 5 seconds. Now at the moment, the spawner, I set it into the center of the room, which means it's going to spawn it there. And it's going to spawn another one there. And then if you wait 5 seconds, there'll be another one there. So we want to like offset it by a bit. Now instead of laying out a proper like offset thing, I'm just gonna just pick a random like. So let's see the scale on this, right? If that's so I can say between, yeah, okay. We'll say we want a private. This is just temporary for this video. Private in X. We want Y as well, and then we'll just say we want it to be a float. Sorry, because we don't want just 1 and 0. At the start of like here, before we make it, we want to say like X equals random dot range between -1 and 1, and then Y equals random dot range between -1 and 1. It's a float. Why is there a problem there? There's no comma. And basically we want to offset. So instead of, we'll have a private vector 2. Well, actually, it needs to be a vector 3 for this. But the depth is 0, so it's fine. It's just X and Y. So we're going to say, what we'll call it spawn pos. So every time we're going to say spawn pos is equal to spawn pos dot X plus equals X. Spawn pos dot Y plus equals Y. And then the Z should be 0. And we're going to spawn it. Instead of transform dot position, we want to spawn it at spawn pos. So now it actually spawns at a random place between -1 and 1, which is actually quite a big range. So I don't know, where are they all? Oh, now there's one spawning down at the bottom. Where's he gone? There he is. I didn't realize how big the range is for that, but if I move the thing on here, there's actually one spawning over there. I didn't realize how big of. Oh, was I looking at a bigger thing? I don't know, but the player, it's because I've walked away probably. Also their projectiles go forever. But as you see, they're spawning at different places around, so I might want to lower that number between 1 and, yeah, oh no, I think I just did run away from where they were all being spawned. So as you see now, they're spawning around the place. They keep spawning around the place. But anyway, I think that's it for this video. So now we've got a spawner, we can put in an offset and just put where to spawn them at. As I said, in the upcoming videos, we're going to be making scriptable objects where we can basically create our own kind of patterns of what spawns in what room and, you know, where we can put it depending on certain things. We'll just build up the systems, but obviously now we've got a way to spawn enemies and not have them just standing still everywhere. So yeah, I think that's it for this video. I know a lot of people watch this series and I don't upload them as often as the rest, so I will actually probably do a few of these videos this week because I know a lot of people like seeing them, so I hope you stay tuned for them. This video didn't make the most progress, but it's making progress, which is all that matters, and I'll keep making these videos. So thanks for watching. If you haven't already liked, subscribed, it would mean a lot. See more of these videos. I think that's it. Goodbye.